Dennis Kucinich, who joins us now from Washington. So, Congressman, I know you oppose the action against Gaddafi, but what do you say to the families of the 190 Americans killed on that Pan Am jet? What do you say to them, Congressman?
Well, if the president wanted to take this action pursuant to what happened on the Pan Am jet, then he should have told Congress, but he didn't say anything to Congress. He has to have congressional approval, Bill, and he didn't ask for it.
So that's your beef, that he went around you guys on the Hill, not the action itself?
It's not a beef. It's about the Constitution.
But President Bush did the same thing, and the courts wouldn't challenge him, and you're not going to get anywhere with this. But I want to know about when you saw the tide change last week, and you knew that they were going to put together a coalition to bomb Libya, did you say, good, let's get Gaddafi out of there?
You know what? I didn't actually know what you said. I didn't know that until we heard about it on Friday. The president should have come to Congress. That's my irreducible position. It's not. We can't be involved in regime change, but you have to come to Congress if you're going to attack another country. He didn't do that. That's not a small matter, and I'm not going to back off of that.
Okay, I'm not asking you to back off on it, but let's say the president, when he gets back from his South American, Central American jaunt, comes to Congress and explains, would you support the action against Gaddafi, the military action?
No, as a matter of fact, I'll be moving forward with an amendment in the continuing resolution to cut off funds for the Libyan attack.
Okay, but then I go back to my original question. If you don't support the action to get him out of there, because I'm sure you agree with me, that's what this is all about. What do you say to the families? Right on that. Yeah. What do you say to the families? 190 Americans killed, and remember that U.S. and British intelligence, both intelligence service, intercepted cables from the Libyan government discussing the bombing in Lockerbie and the bombing in Berlin that led to the Reagan retaliation. So what do you say to those families? They said, look, we've been waiting all these years to get this guy, and you say what?
You have to be honest with the American people. If that's what this is about, then we should say so.
But it is about that. That's partially what it's about.
I agree with you. Bill O'Reilly, I agree with you that an unspoken part of this operation is to knock Gaddafi out. But are we willing to pay the price in U.S.
I'm willing to pay the price as an American, and a CNN poll says 70% of Americans agree with me.
Let's see what they say in a week.
But Congressman, you're not willing to pay the price to avenge the death of the 190 Americans and to send a message to other terrorists that no matter who you are, we're going to come get you.
Well, you know, there's one thing to say no matter who you are, we're going to come get you, and you do that as a police action. It's another thing to launch a full-scale attack against another country that, you know, which did not threaten us. There's no immediate or imminent threat to the United States. The president has to come to Congress, Bill. There's no way of getting away from that.
I'm not arguing that. I don't mind him.
Perhaps the closest historical comparison to what's happening in Libya right now is the NATO air campaign over Yugoslavia 12 years ago. The bombing also launched with the aim of protecting civilians, in this case the Kosovo minority, and it resulted in hundreds of civilian deaths, though it did manage to force the withdrawal of Yugoslav forces from Kosovo. Let's talk to Balkans expert Marko Gasic now to see if any parallels can be drawn. Good evening to you, Marko. I mean, NATO's attack on Yugoslavia at the time caused a lot of criticism from nations and human rights groups, didn't it? Just how justified are such humanitarian missions like we saw then, maybe like we're seeing now?
I would say that such interventions are never justified because they represent a huge investment on the part of those intervening, and they only justify themselves in terms of their ability to achieve the aims of the interveners, which are always strategic, designed to position themselves into occupation positions in strategically vital areas of the world. So in terms of how they benefit the local population, the answer is not at all. In fact, they're always very negative. Afghanistan in 1979, the intervention then has led to 30 years and still ongoing instability. Kosovo in 1999, still a fake state of desperate poverty and desperate crime in all that entire area. Bosnia was an opportunity for peace and diplomacy. They didn't take it, and a war ensued there as well. Iraq, we know, another nightmare. We have, and now we're building up to a new Iraq in Libya. Basically, these interventions have never led to successful conclusions. They lead to open-ended Western occupations and regional instability on a continuing basis designed to justify those occupations. That's what they're thereabout.
So you're saying lessons have not been learned along the line by the US and allied forces from these previous military campaigns?
Well, lessons have been learned very well. The people who are doing the campaigns are very well versed in the lessons. They know, for example, based on the experience of Kosovo, not to allow ceasefire monitors in because they can tell you who's breaking the ceasefire. Now, in the case of Libya, the Libyan foreign minister accepted the resolution as it was passed the other day and said that he demanded observers to monitor the ceasefire straight away. Why wasn't that invitation taken up? Because if we want a genuine dialogue, as the resolution called for, if we want peace and an end to violence, then we need a ceasefire, we need dialogue between the parties. Bear in mind that in Western countries, it takes 5 years to enable regime change, and it's the outcome of a long process of dialogue. Over in Libya and the Middle East, it seems that the expectation is to create regime change in 5 days and to do it at the point of a Tomahawk cruise missile.
Marco, what is your prognosis for this conflict? Gaddafi's promising a long war. Is that just words of a man with bruised pride, or do you think he will fight out to the last? Where's it going to go, do you think?
Well, with half the population, as I see it, on his side, Libya really does look like becoming a new Iraq. I presume we'll be seeing depleted uranium missiles thrown by the benevolent humanitarian Western aircraft onto that population there. We should remember that the resolution calls for dialogue, i.e. it requires two sides both to be around in order to engage in that dialogue. So it shouldn't be about getting rid of Colonel Gaddafi. If it is, then this action on day one is already in breach of international law because it's in breach of the resolution by which action was enforced. We needed dialogue, we needed ceasefire, we've got bombs instead. The bombs are not necessary for the peace. What we need is a ceasefire for the peace, and that really should be the aim of the mission. To the extent that it is not the aim of the mission has now become compromised and should...
Hello everyone, welcome to Global Government News. Today is Wednesday, March 23rd, 2011, and I'm Darko. Welcome everyone. This is part 4, the final part of this news bulletin for today. My website is www.ggnonline.com. That's ggnonline.com. All right, we're going to continue here and leave off what we left off, and then we'll break in to the Middle East. Kids Chalk Drawings Graffiti Council. So now they're looking at banning basically chalk that children play with on the sidewalk. It says toddlers drawing chalk, rainbows, and stick figures on footpath outside of an outer or suburban cafe are creating a health hazard and breaking graffiti laws. So they want to stop giving children chalk to draw on the 2-millimeter wide footpath outside our cafe. And so you can check that out. Links are reposted. Potty mouths preschoolers shock pollies. Talking about politicians. They visit the young people in preschool and that. And what did they say? Well, one of them called them a penis or a dick. Pardon my French there, but it's basically what they said. And there it is right there. And then they called him a silly bum bum. And then he said he made the mistake of asking the child to clarify his statement. And he said, "You're a silly bum bum." Another boy shot back. So some smart children out there, they know that they're a bunch of crooked politicians. And it says here, Google told it can't scan and publish entire books without permission from authors. A U.S. federal judge rejected an attempt by Google to make money by presiding over the world's largest digital library. And they said it would simply go too far. Google internet companies face too many privacy rules, U.S. official says. And it almost sounds like it's a positive thing, but it's not. And they want more filtering. And basically about the development and promotion of international legal standards. So this is all about setting an international internet regulatory body, basically, to censor. And maybe I'm reading that the wrong way, but you can go in there and check that out. Beijing to track individual movement through cell phones. I already covered this, or I reported on this about a month ago, but it's been back up in the news. And that's right, because they're going to use their cell phones because they have GPS in there. And so if you carry your cell phones on and they're on all the time, or your smartphones, you are carrying a GPS. So government can locate you anytime, but if you're not doing anything wrong, you don't have anything to worry about, right? So just keep doing what you're doing. Here's a lady who's leading the U.S. air war in Libya. You can check that out. And that's Air Force Major General Margaret Woodward. And carrying out Odyssey Dawn. U.S. jet crashes in Libya. Pilot received by locals. And look at this. He said he found himself surrounded by curious locals who served him juice and thanked his country for bombing forces loyal to ruler Muammar Gaddafi, which is a bunch of bull, right? When I read this story, I was, what a bunch of BS. It's about as much crap as the jet getting or going down because of, quote, mechanical malfunctions. Come on, people. Seriously? We're not a third world country. We're the United States, the humongous military-industrial complex. Jets don't just go down for mechanical errors in a war situation. That sucker probably got shot down, and of course they're not going to report that. So that in itself is propaganda. And then you have this saying that the locals came up to him and were all nice to him. But look at this. Look at this. U.S. rescue chopper shoots 6 Libyan villagers as they welcome pilots of downed Air Force jet. So there you go. There's the truth. Gaddafi arms 1 million citizens. Gaddafi says Libya ready for battle. And he also, Gaddafi, U.S. bound for dustbin of history. That's what he said. U.S., I laughed at this because I thought it was kind of funny. U.S. bound for dustbin of history. This guy has some pretty good quotes. NATO struggles to define Libya role as U.S. prepares strike. So what's the role? White House denies regime change as part of Libya mission. Oh, okay. And then reports Gaddafi's son is dead. And this probably isn't true, but they did kill his daughter, I believe, and just like Saddam Hussein, who the powers that be put into place and took him out, they also killed Saddam's son right before they came and took him out, and that's probably how he'll go down too, just like Iraq, just like Saddam, and or Hitler. Maybe he'll commit suicide. That's what the polls are saying. UN Council turns down Libya on emergency meeting. We just talked about that with Kucinich and them. The other person. The second video that they tried to come to the table, Libya, and they said no, because that's not their intention. Their intention is to take Gaddafi out and take over their oil completely. Gaddafi forces roll back as rebels try to organize. Then we have Gaddafi forces kill civilians in Libya. NATO to enforce Libya arms embargo and naval blockade. Gates hints at open-ended war in Libya, and it says there's no timeline for the end. And it says here, Libya war could last 30 years. Airstrike forces Gaddafi to retreat from key city. Joint mission by Spanish military aircraft. So they got the Spanish. Then Dutch contribute F-16s to Libya efforts. They got the Dutch. Turkish Navy to help NATO enforce Libya embargo. Canadian jets join invasion of Libya. Italy faces threat after military intervention in Libya. Military action draws skepticism in northwest Indiana. Then we have China calls for immediate ceasefire in Libya. Who's in charge? Germans pull forces out of NATO, so the Germans no longer nuclear, shutting down their plants, and they're getting out of Libya. So good for you, Germany. It says after Libya intervention, some responsibility to protect advocates want to turn spotlight on Israel. Libya action, Arab support very strong, Cameron says. Oh, really? OIC rejects military action in Libya. The Organization of Islamic Conference rejected attacking Libya. Arab League criticizes Western airstrike, so that's a bunch of bull. Chavez, U.S. allies want Libyan oil, which is true. U.S.-led no-fly zone on Libya to cost $1 billion. Ouch. Obama claims limited U.S. role in Libya. Okay. China in Libya, 15 dead and new clashes in southern Syria cities. So Syria is now the next on the docket. Egypt's Interior Ministry burns as police protest. Then we have Yemen's embattled leader takes emergency powers. Yemen deploys tanks and armored vehicles. Saudi Arabia arrests 100 Shia protesters. NATO trucks attacked in Pakistan because they didn't pay the Taliban off. U.S.-led attacks kill 4 Afghan civilians. U.S. soldier gets 24 years in prison for murders of 3 Afghans. Explosion at Jerusalem bus station kills 1, hurts 30. Palestinians blamed. Israel braces for flare-up as Gazan rockets hit. Then we have this. Israel will act aggressively to preserve security. Well, of course they do. They always do. First bus bombing in Jerusalem since 2004 injures dozens. AP calls it a militant attack. The state-run Israel radio says a woman has died from a bomb blast in Jerusalem. It said it is the first death from Wednesday's explosion, which also wounded about 20 other people. UN chief slams Israel's killing of Palestinian children in Gaza. Then we have Israel approves law seen by some as racist. Then Chileans protest Obama's visit. Brazil cracks down on anti-U.S. protesters. And then we have UN may name special investigators on raids on Iran. Wow, that really sounds nice. ATF gun-walking scandal. Second agent speaks. That's right, the ATF encouraged U.S. gun dealers to sell suspected traffickers for Mexican drug cartels. And then we have Mexico's top diplomat defends U.S. drone flights. Then Raleigh man angered by TSA security screening. Why? Well, because he was autistic. It's almost as bad as a pregnant woman. Artisite gets rapturous welcome to Haiti. This is GGN, and I'm Darko. Thank you.